Wanna talk? So let's talk. Yeah. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk, you wanna
Welcome back, my friends. It's Talk to Solomon. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Stan Solomon. I'm the host, my co-host,
Chief Steve.
former Police Chief Steve Davis. And from south of the border, we have our good friend Brent Johnson of freedomradio.us. Brent, how are you this evening?
Doing great. And by the way, our new look of our website is now up and running. You should check it out at freedomradio.us. It's a fantastic website, a lot of good information about how to live free in an unfree world.
Well, we need lots of help, it seems, in these areas, and we're going to get that help right now from one of the smartest, most intuitive fellas in the history of the free world. His name is Dr. Alan Keyes, and he joins us now from the great state of Maryland. Hello, Doctor.
Hi, Stan. Hi, Chief. How are you?
Great. How you doing?
Pretty good. Hi, Brent.
Hi, Alan.
Alan, I want to start with a statement that I believe is true, although I don't have conclusive proof. I believe that our political system is now officially broken. I believe that this last election where Barack Obama won a second term was invalid, it was illegal, it was rampant with cheating, and we had there were like 4 or 5 people, but in Cincinnati, Ohio, in Hamilton County, Ohio, they indicted a woman who said, and this I think is illustrative, to a television camera, I'm glad Barack Obama voted. I voted at least 6 times. Now, this lady was 59 years old. She was a poll worker for 20 years. Her name was Deloise or something like that. And she said, we needed to get Barack Obama in. Now, they indicted her. They may find her guilty since she was stupid enough to admit it on camera. With everyone watching live on camera, as a matter of fact. But there were a number of instances. A guy voted for his wife who had died prior to the election. A nun voted for a fellow nun who had died prior to the election. This woman voted twice for herself and then voted for a number of other people, all of whom she listed at her address. I believe that we have seen. We just talked the last half hour about how this administration is ignoring the Constitution, its restraints, and the very concept of our country. I believe we are now to the point that we can no longer expect the system to work. Your comment?
Well, I'd only revise that slightly, Stan. I mean, I think we have a perfect right to expect it to work. I don't know whether we should have any certainty that expectation is going to be fulfilled. And when I say that, I think we should be demanding of the folks who are supposed to represent us that they do what's necessary in order to respect the Constitution, respect the integrity of the voting processes that are established by it, and so forth. But Stan, what is the great problem in that? Sometimes I think we speak as if America's founders thought that you'd put the Constitution in place and it would be like flicking a switch. The machine would start running and you'd get a free country. See? And it would stay free, and all you'd have to do probably is maybe every now and again you oil it here and there and it'll keep running smoothly. That's not true. They not only didn't believe that, they said that they didn't believe it. And they foresaw the difficulties and tried to put the Constitution together in such a way that even though, as it says at one point in the Federalist Papers, enlightened statesmen may not always be at the helm, even though the passions of human beings attach themselves to opinions and can lead to all kinds of cabals and factions and difficulties that would threaten the Republic's life. They just wanted to put the system together in such a way that people vigilant against that would have within their reach instruments that would allow them to oppose what was going wrong and correct the situation. Chiefest among those instruments, by the way, and outstanding in the history of kind of political institutions, was the Congress of the United States, was the legislative power invested in representatives chosen directly by the people in the House of Representatives through their state governments, and then you saw parallels to that in the various state governments around the country. That role of the people was critical, and everything, however, depended on the fact that the people themselves would value liberty, would demonstrate the characteristics, the kind of character, including courage and self-discipline and a concern for their own liberty, but also for the common good of their community and their country, that they would do that, and that this would then inform our politics, so that even if cabals and factions and other things got started in different parts of the country, decent folks would come together and do something about it. Why isn't that happening, Stan? I don't think it's enough to look at the outcome of elections and say, well, somebody cheated at the election. Because the system now is more comprehensively broken than that. And instead of having a functioning constitution that allows people to elect true representatives to the Congress, to the legislatures, people who are then going to be responsive to the views of the people, stand where that representation requires them to stand. What do we have? Look at what's been going on in Congress. Surely we can see, and I have said this for years, that from the very beginning, Barack Obama, a self-avowed admirer of communists and communism and hardline socialists and socialism, who acted that way, talked that way, adopted the views on issues of moral principle and other things that were in line with those views. Here was a communist. Folks elect him to the White House, and what? They didn't expect that he was going in all different kinds of ways after he got through with his lying rhetoric, that he was going to move the country in a direction of despotic, tyrannical, totalitarian communism, just like his admired figures would do. We're not there even yet, but he sure is doing his best to put all the pieces in place, isn't he? To get us there. Does that mean we must inevitably now succumb to this narcissistic, totalitarian, I think semi-psychotic personality? I don't think so. Because we've got several hundred other people involved in the government just at the U.S. level, much less the governors and the state and local legislatures. Why is it that we can't sit back and say, well, we have what we need to make headway against these abuses? Well, at one level, Stan, I think we do have what we need. Some people are making use of that. State legislatures opposing the destruction of the Second Amendment. People at the grassroots rising up to oppose and demand that their representatives oppose the destruction of our constitutional rights. People objecting in various ways to the things and abuses that are being perpetrated or will be perpetrated in the name of so-called national security, and so forth. I mean, this is happening, but it hasn't been happening effectively, has it, Stan? Especially not at the national level. I will cite one case in point and then I'll stop. Case in point, the nomination of Brennan to the CIA. I don't believe you could find somebody who in his background, statements, and various other things had shown more of an open disposition to adopt the viewpoint and collaborate with the aims of the folks who are behind the reign of terror that has beset this country in various ways since 9/11, right? A big friend of the Muslim Brotherhood, himself a convert, somebody who promotes the idea, oh no, jihad is all about peace, and so forth and so on. Shouldn't say those nasty words, war and violence in connection with Islam, all of these things, quite obvious. And somebody who has really promoted, you know, close relations with some of the people who are directly involved in the terrorist network of Islam, Al-Qaeda, all these sorts. Now, would it be your first thought that if you're still in the midst of a situation where folks like this are trying to kill your people in all kinds of nefarious ways, that you'd want to put in charge of your intelligence agency somebody who's been so openly sympathetic to their views? Maybe. I suppose that people would think, well, he'll become the recruiter-in-chief for agents against Islam. I guess that kind of thinking we could hope so, but his record hardly suggests it. Then we have the added kind of indication that when he took his oath of office, he took it on a copy of the Constitution that didn't include the Bill of Rights. Did you read this?
Yep.
Anyway, all of this, their signs were in the air and everything. Now, I'm supposed to sit here and get all excited because Rand Paul filibustered against Brennan because he didn't give a proper explanation of his views on whether or not you can assassinate people using these drones who are American citizens on U.S. soil and so forth. I think that's a very good and proper question, especially in an era when Obama's in the White House, who has shown in his background and views and the people he admires that he probably has a disposition to abuse such powers for political purposes, right? Okay, so very good question. But come on, Stan, are we really supposed to be that dumb that we're going to sit here and pat each other on the back and say, rah, rah, Rand Paul, and wasn't that wonderful, and we have hope, when the GOP leadership lets the man go for his little 13-hour, I call it the mini-me filibuster, right? And I call it that not to insult Rand Paul, but to call attention to the fact that it was a small replica of the real thing. That there were enough Republicans opposed to this nomination that if the GOP leadership had organized a true filibuster, it could have gone on for a long time. They could have focused the attention of the nation on not only the inadequacy, but the insanity of this particular appointment. They could have brought up all of the problems that we have seen with the collaboration of the Obama administration with forces that are inimical to the national security of this country. Did they do it, Stan? Did they use this moment in order to educate the American people, to set the stage for the implementation of what you and I both know is the strong feeling of a lot of Americans around the country, that we shouldn't be engaging in Obama's policies of collaboration and appeasement with the people who are trying to kill us? Did they do that, Stan? No, they didn't. So when I look at the breakdown of the system, I don't say, oh, the Constitution's broken down, everything's going... No, the political process has broken down. We have parties that are no longer about representation. We have a party that wants to destroy and overturn the Constitution. Another party that pretends not to want that, but in practical ways, always when the smoke clears, ends up letting it happen without much protest. And then wants to turn to conservatives and say, hey, we got Rand Paul for you, so you fools should while away some more of your time following these specious and false and useless personalities while we get on with the business of destroying your country. Are we going to be taken in by this? Because I'm sick of watching it. So I think, yes, you're absolutely right. I've said it for a long time, by the way, that the Republic is dead. And I've been blunt with people about this for several years. But I always conclude, Stan, by saying that I am a Christian person. And on account of that faith, I believe in resurrection. See, I think that if you return to God with a will and plead for his help and mercy, he has the power to resurrect what you think is dead. And if you then are willing on the strength of that faith to act with courage and to act in line with what's needed to restore this country to its right position vis-a-vis the laws of nature and nature's God and the provisions of the Constitution and the energetic activities of the people to restore our respect for those things and implement and stand on the rights that we're supposed to have. If we do all of that, then this country won't be dead for very long, because in coming back to faith, in coming back to God, in coming back to courage, in coming back to a willingness to stand for the rights that God gave us, we will bring our nation back to life.
Well, from your mouth to God's ear, Brent?
Yeah, the original comment you made was about expectations on the government to do what it's supposed to do. I happen to disagree. I don't think that there is ever supposed to be an expectation that the government will function properly. The expectation, as our founding fathers laid out for us, is that the government will seek to overstep its boundaries, that the government will seek to gather more power, more control than is authorized. That's the whole reason we have a constitution. That's the whole reason we have a militia. You know, that the expectation of government is that it will act like a thug. And the solution to that, Ben Franklin said it very well. He said, we've given you a republic. It is for a just and moral people. It is insufficient to any other. And that last comment, I think, is very, very noteworthy. That the type of government that was set up for us in the United States of America is not a functioning government. It is not a sufficient government to an unjust, immoral people. It requires people who have character, who are willing to fight to defend the character, both their personal character and the character of their country. People who are unwilling to take a stand, who are unwilling to go against the political winds, if you will. People who are unwilling to do what's right in the face of doing what is, you know, what feels good, or vote, or getting into office. Person who has the same color skin as them, or whatever else. People who are unwilling to do what is right are impotent when it comes to maintaining the kind of government and the kind of country and the kind of society that we were given some 237 years ago. So there, in my mind today, is no expectation that the government is going to do anything except what it's doing. Engage in tyranny, engage in dictatorship, engage in totalitarianism. And it will continue doing that until and unless we stop it. And the only way to stop abject tyranny is by force. There is no political answer. There is no negotiation. That tyrants never step down peacefully, ever. And I guarantee you, before we can overthrow the tyrants, there will be a lot of bloodshed. And if we're not willing to allow for that, then it comes back down to accepting a life of servitude. To me, that's unacceptable. To real Americans, that's unacceptable. Unfortunately, there are very few of those types of people, in my opinion, in America today.
Well, what you say resonates. Chief, of course, is a former law enforcement officer. You know, if Stan or Brent or Alan or Chief Steve, you know, stands up and says, government no, then the government will run over you, right?
Or drone you to death. But I do want to say that I'm thrilled to be on this program tonight when I believe Dr. Keyes may have founded the Lazarus Party, which I think was just extraordinarily brilliant to say that. But I think about where everyone is supposed to solve a problem by following the problem-solving steps. The first step is to identify the problem. And I believe it's twofold in this case. The first problem is us, ourselves. We have allowed the left to take over education and the news media and the entertainment system. That's one part of the problem. The other part of the problem is we have also elected officials that we believe we're going to do our business without any supervision once they got into office. So with 2-year or 4-year or 6-year terms, we sent them off and said, boy, we did a good job electing them, and then let them do what they want. And for the most part, they've been corrupted or taken advantage of, or been too weak or too greedy, and they've sided with the enemy. And so I think the problem is both sides. It is them and us at the same time.
I have seen the enemy, and he is me. Well, I think Brent makes an extraordinary point. Does America still have the mettle, the backbone, the love of God and country that we will give up our own personal best interest for the best interest of the country? That's what the people that join our military do overwhelmingly. The question is, does America still have that?
Let me add one thing to that. In the United States Infantry, their motto is follow me. There's a leader that always rounds up the troops and leads them to victory. We don't have that leader right now. When we have that could happen.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I think that we are, in a way, we have to be careful not to sell ourselves short. I've watched over the last several years, while a lot of good-hearted people took the initiative in our political process, starting in 2006, by the way, let their voices be heard, had an enormous political impact. That was in 2006 adverse to the Republicans. In 2010, it helped them. But all along, people at the grassroots turning out, organizing rallies, taking the initiative, and acting according to what I think is the real spirit. We don't look for leaders as Americans. We must be the leaders. Be the leaders in family, in neighborhood, in community, and finally in a political process that is based on our self-organization and initiative. That has been discouraged by our leaders. It has been thwarted. It has been repressed. But it is the key to real self-government. And people have acted that way. Let's stop, I think, bad-mouthing all of these good-hearted folks who did things that everybody would have thought impossible. They were told you had to have the money, you had to have this, and had to have that, and yet they were able to mobilize, elect to Congress people who stood for positions of fiscal responsibility, limited government, God-fearing approaches to marriage and rights and other sorts of things, got in there in numbers that were deeply significant, handed the majority to the Republican Party. And why do we shrink from pointing out the obvious? People in this country did what they needed to do, and then they were betrayed by the Republican leadership. That's the simple fact of it. Let's look that fact in the eye and stop bad-mouthing the people of this country as if they didn't not only try, but try successfully. And then the leadership in the Republican Party got to work, twisted arms and intimidated and browbeat people who went into that Congress ready to represent their folks, and 2/3 of them got turned to the policy of collaboration and coalition with the Obama faction that's betraying the country.
Or change their district.
Was that the fault, or change their district? Was that the fault of good-hearted people? Was that because people sat on their hands, didn't have character, didn't have courage, didn't have faith, didn't get moving? No, they did get moving. And they were betrayed by the Republican leadership. There is one thing I will fault people at the grassroots, particularly good-hearted conservatives, for. I fault them for it, but it's easily remedied. Okay? There's been all kinds of talk: secede from the Union, secede from this, withdraw from that, stand for this and the other thing, show courage, pick up your gun, hold on to this, do. And all I would like to see is the simple, forthright courage to get out of a party that has betrayed you again and again and again, and start a vehicle that will reflect and represent what you want for your country. When people stop talking about this as if they're helpless and start doing that simple thing, then I think they will make the difference they need to make. Get your heads out of the sham two-party system. Put your efforts and energy into making sure that you are building a vehicle that will represent you. And by the way, Brant, if that effort is thwarted, then it will take open acts of oppressive tyranny to thwart it, and the aftermath will fall on the heads of those who initiate those acts. There's a way to go about standing on your rights, and it isn't to talk about it, and it isn't to go out of your way to brandish your wherewithal and so forth and so on. No, it's to stay on the path of your rights, actively, energetically prosecute the politics that's required to express those rights, which people have not done yet because the Republican vehicle has failed them. See? And if you are still
Alan,
then I think we will have brought this matter to a head. But I don't think we've done that yet, because people are still showing a disposition to think that something's going to come out of the party that has been beating them like a bad spouse beats their spouse, beating them and beating them and beating them. And every time these people are standing there and saying, oh, well, he really means well, she really means well, she didn't mean to hurt me, he didn't mean to hurt me, he'll improve, he says he'll do better. Are we gone nuts or something? I think it's time for people to stop playing this game. Hey, it's long past time that they gave up on the Republicans and built a political vehicle, come what may, that will stand for the things this country was founded upon and desperately needs to restore itself. When I see people moving en masse and without excuses to achieve that political aim, then I will be. And if they fail or thwart it, or they don't stand up, then I guess I'll be willing to start blaming the grassroots. But we've been failed by the party that promised to represent the restoration of America. Still does promise it, they just don't deliver. And people need to draw the lesson from that and discard that vehicle to build an.
We're going to take a break here, and Brent wants to say something when we come back. So everyone, get ready, because I think the new Lazarus Party is about to rise. This is Talk to Solomon. Do you like being healthy? I do. In fact, this product, which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great, and it's sugar-free. 1 ounce of Sonic Life each day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's a kind of a gift, well, that you'll thank your mom for, your husband for, your wife for, your kids for. Whoever you give it to, they're going to say thank you. And you are going to enjoy the benefits of having all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients your body needs in one very reasonably priced product. Just go to cpnlive.com and everything's right there. You'll be able to read all the ingredients.
When you
price
talk,
is right there, a flat price delivered to your door anywhere in the United States of America. Sonic Life is a gift, a great gift. Give it to yourself. I do. Hey, my name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the Fuel Mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item, and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. Let me ask you a question. Do you like being sick? I have in my hand an incredible product. It's called TR10 Supercolloidal Silver. TR10 stands for a trace to the negative 10th power. The particles in this silver product are 6 to 8 angstroms, 6 to 8 10 billionths of a meter. Now listen to me. Silver has been the magic bullet for all of human existence. The Egyptians used silver instruments. We use silverware. They put silver in your teeth because nothing can grow on silver. Silver will kill anything but liberalism. I'm working on that. This product, you go to cpnlive.com, buy 1 quart of this product. It will last you for a very long time. Anytime you feel like you've been exposed to something bad, take some of this product, spray it in your mouth, or take a little bit and gargle it, swallow it. It will kill any pathogen. The average antibiotic kills 10 to 20 different pathogens. This product will kill 700 plus. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, do your doctor a favor. He's tired of seeing you. Get Supercolloidal Silver. Go to cpnlive.com, order the product. It's $29.95 plus shipping. I think it's $39.95 delivered any place in America right to your door. It's worth 10 times that. Check it out. If you're not 100% happy, just return it and we'll give you your money back. I like to eat. You like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have dependents, you have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com. Check it out.